Welcome back to episode 6 of the Off the Pole podcast, helping you train smart so you can dance more. I'm Sarah Scott, and today my guest is the sexy Swiss slinktress Jazzy K. She found pole dance in 2009 and quickly got into teaching and competing. She's been a finalist in the Felix Cane Pole Championships multiple times. She's won Pole Theatre Switzerland in the Classique category and Exotic Level 4 at the PSO Europe Edition in 2017. She's a trainer for XPERT, and when she's not teaching at Gravity Arts in Zurich, she's travelling the world with her workshops. What I really wanted to get everyone to talk about was her change in attitude with her training, highlighted in a recent Facebook post, which was hugely popular. I think so many people related with it, so I hope you enjoy our chat. Welcome, Jazzy. Thank you for doing my podcast. Much appreciated, you little Swiss beautiful creature.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh, stop. So, I've already given a little bit of an introduction about who you are, where you come from, how long you've been doing pole, but I'm sure everyone knows who you are already because you're everywhere. But I thought we could start off with maybe you letting us know what are your plans or your pole goals for 2018.
Pole goals, I don't have a goal that you can say I want to do this trick or I want to be able to do this or this comp. For me at the moment, it's actually really about getting to play more, to enjoy myself more again. I mean, I do pole for 8 years now, so sometimes I kind of lost the play in pole. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's also that I really set my goal for 2018 to go and play more and do different things, explore pole more without having to be like, oh, I want to do this competition or I want to go to this showcase or whatever. Yeah, to get the joy again.
You did a lot of competitions last year. Can you remember how many you did?
No. I think
obviously too many if you can't even remember how many. But do you feel like you lose that sense of play when you are competing because there's that extra pressure to get a routine done, or do you actually feel like you get more creative when you have the pressure of a routine that you have to do?
It is kind of both. Competing always gave me a platform or a chance to improve because it put me under pressure. But at the same point, I feel like I lost so many opportunities to just explore more what my body can do or where I want to go, or being free of having to be on do a routine, being on time pressure. And I mean, I love teaching, and sometimes I felt like I couldn't have that much time to spend more time improving my teaching as I wanted to. So yeah, I think it was a good thing. I mean, I did it for 4 years now, kind of a lot. Mm-hmm. But in the last year, I got to a point where I actually felt like I lose the joy. So, and I didn't want that to happen. I love pole, and that's why I was I set myself a goal, 2 max a year, nothing more.
Yeah, that's a lot for most people. That's more than
I know.
That's more than I'm doing.
I did 3 in 3 months. So
you did 3 in 3 months? You lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were everywhere. God damn. And you don't repeat routines either. You do a lot of fresh routines all the time. So, yeah, fair play. Do you find when you're doing competing that you have to add in more recovery or look after your body a certain way, or is it literally just I'm just going to get through this and just get the competition over and then recover afterwards, or do you have specific things you do along your competition prep to keep you ticking over?
Yeah, I really look that when I know I have a competition coming up, I try to really be careful with my food as well so that I get all the nutritions, because if I feel like when I get too much junk food, I just can't function properly. So that's really, really important for me, good food, nutritional food, and enough sleep. Definitely enough sleep, because if I don't get enough sleep, I really feel it.
Do you get as hangry as you? Was there another one for sleep? Hungry? Tired and hungry? That would actually be better for you than angry, hungry and angry. If anyone doesn't know, if they've been around Jazzy when she's required food, then they'll see another side of her, which is
asking for food.
It's not a bad thing. I think it's good if you know your body and you're like, now is the time I need to eat, and everyone else is just going to have to deal with that until Jazzy gets food, which is fine. You know your body well. It's much respect. But yeah, sleep and food, and she's happy.
Yes, exactly.
Good. We made sure that she ate before this podcast as well, people, so don't worry. She's like, oh, I think I'm going to be a bit late. I haven't had food yet. I'm like, dear God, make sure you have some food.
I said my boyfriend, Sarah knows me.
It's all good. And you did a recent Facebook post which was hugely popular. I think a lot of people could relate to it. And I'm going to tag it down below in the transcript of the blog so that people can see it. And it went through a little bit more about where you were with training to where you are now. So could you maybe give a little bit of a detail about that?
Yeah, I mean, I may have to say, like, especially, like, I do pole for 8 years. I started when my teachers back then were like one of the first in Switzerland, and nobody came from the fitness industry. So what I learned was had nothing to do with healthy training, and I didn't know anything at all. I wasn't trained in that field yet. So I did many mistakes, and like that I know now what to do with my body, and I did put my body into positions that it could not support. And some of it I didn't even realize till like 2 years ago or like 1.5 years ago when I was really in pain, and I looked for help. And I was actually looking more help for like getting more flexibility in my hips, and not really about my shoulders. Like, well, shoulders, I'm a pole dancer. It's like normal that your shoulder hurts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not normal. And
it's normal for us, but it shouldn't be. But yeah,
just saying. So yeah, I met Hunter Cook, and he actually looked at my body as like, girl, there's more wrong with you than just your hips. So, and that's when I found out how much my body was not capable of doing the things I just did all the time. And it was pretty shocking, actually. And I was thinking a long time about this post because it's a really sensitive area, I guess, because many are training in a field that they have not that much knowledge about. And I didn't want to feel like that people... or that I talk bad about people or like accusing anyone of doing a wrong thing. But I think it's really important that people, especially teachers, they learn more about what they're doing because they're working with like human bodies. And yeah, I mean, for me, it helped a lot to, after this point, like I think it was 2016, like end of 2016, yeah, like from that point my training changed a lot. Like it went from just trying to achieve moves or tricks or like certain positions for a picture or a video to way more training and healthy, like to keep my joints and my body healthy. And it changed my mind as well a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a big pressure on people to always be pushing for the new trick and not necessarily looking at the longevity of, even, you know, obviously we all hope that we can do pole forever and ever and ever, but there may be a point where pole could affect us to the point that we can't continue, or even it could affect our everyday life, not necessarily just, you know, our ability to pole. And I think when people start looking at the bigger picture, like you started to, and I have also, you know, with my own training, looking at like, oh God, if I continue with certain things, then that's going to massively affect things further down the road. Then I think it's really important that the more people talk about it, and even if you might get upset with like, or you might get worried that people get upset about it, you know, you kind of have to look past that, because it's our responsibility, I think, as people who are going through it, to be like, one sec, maybe look after your body just a little bit more.
And you know, the thing is, it's just sometimes it's not even because they choose to do wrong, it's just people don't know better. Mm-hmm. It's like we just have to, I think, push more so people get educated, like they read about it or listen, and they learn how to do it better. Because that's the thing, we do pole. Pole is pretty young as a sport, and we don't know what it's like, how our body's going to be in like 10, 20 years. But I for sure don't want to be in pain in 20 years.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, so, no, you're on a good roll as well.
Yeah, so like about the getting educated, and yeah, I think, where was I?
People don't necessarily know, they're not necessarily doing the wrong thing on purpose.
Yes, exactly. And I was also expecting way more negative feedback, like, because I know that many are training a different way or living a different way, but there was so much positive feedback, and also people were like, I feel the same, like, oh, this makes so much sense. And I was really surprised. But positively surprised.
Mm. What would you say is the main thing that's changed? I know you said your mindset's changed and your training has changed. And without going into specifics, because I know it's quite difficult to be, you know, just to verbalize it, but what's been the main kind of shift in how your training's changed?
I have like fixed routines where I do exercises for my mobility, like my active flexibility, my joints, to keep them in a good range of motion, train my whole range of motion, and actually trying to increase my range of motion, but really have like set trainings where it's about my health and not about doing a new trick or a new combination. And it is in my schedule and it's fixed.
How many times a week would you say that you have like a fixed kind of health session?
2 to 3 times a week, definitely.
And would you say that's more like, across the board, or you think it's very personal depending on what people's bodies are like and how they should look into it themselves?
It's definitely very personal. It's so hard to say without seeing someone, or to know their body, to see what they are capable of, or what their body is capable of or isn't capable of. It's so hard to say like you have to do this exercise or this exercise. It's just not possible without seeing someone and seeing what is wrong. That's why like many wrote me also in messages and like asking me questions. Like, I can't tell you what you have to do because I need to see you, and even I am still learning so much. So I would always recommend to go to see a physical therapist first as well, like, because I don't have that training, but I can, with like my learning that I do now, help at least at some point, and with like basic knowledge, but with so much detail, people are coming with so much injuries. And I really tell them to go to see professionals first, so we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I know it's difficult because people, they almost want like a magic pill or something to be like, well, what do I do? Yeah. Like, I don't necessarily have access to the people that you have access to. I don't have the training, or don't have the knowledge, or my instructor doesn't know, or all these things. So I think the best thing to do is just to start trying to look into it. You can't really... There's no wrong education. Like, you're going to learn, even if it's not the right thing for you, you're going to learn that it's not right, and it's going to push you on a path that's going to be putting you towards something that is going to help you. So yeah, definitely agree with going to see a professional, especially if you've got any pain or injuries or impingements or anything like that, and then just start learning about the body, because that's where it all started for me. Was just, the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know, which is also quite depressing, but the more you start looking into it, then the more you can actually start helping yourself along the way. So
and
good advice, Miss Jazzy.
Yeah, it's really that's why people are asking me also about like doing a workshop and like how can you book, and I always tell them like I try to work on it, to actually build a workshop that I can give on like the basic knowledge, or like so they can actually work with their own body. But so much information and understanding. So it's going to be a lot about talking as well, because people need to understand how their body works before they understand what doesn't work.
Polars are difficult creatures, because we want like the big, fancy, fun tricks, and then you get to a certain point, and then you're like, oh, I have to go back to school and learn how the body works and moves, and levers and physics and anatomy and all that stuff, which you don't have to, but I think it's gonna massively help the more you do learn. But it's not as fun. Like, it's not, I think you put a post saying like, it's not Instagram worthy what you're doing. The really useful stuff is boring to look at and very repetitive and doesn't look like you're doing anything, but that's the actual stuff we have to do.
I'm actually sitting like in a gym or in a studio, and especially when I do it in a gym, I like work for my hip mobility. I just sit there, and if you don't see me actually move, because I'm like, but my face changed, and I'm looking like it's really hot, but I'm not moving, and people are like, what is she doing?
Strange girl in the corner, breathing and talking to herself.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, we had a couple of people in the group, because I posted up in my Facebook group that I was going to be doing an interview with you, and I had a couple of questions. One is from Sarah Bibby, and she wants to know, what did you focus on to keep your motivation up and self-control strong when you decided to change your training? Her back has been injured for about 6 months, and she wants to know, how does she find the balance of training and rehabilitating without going mad? Because obviously, as we've just said, it's a bit boring to do the rehab stuff. So what did you do to help keep motivated?
Well, the pain was pretty motivational, because I was like, I don't want to be in pain anymore. And well, just thinking about like, where do I see myself in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? And I just realized if I go on like that, I may wreck my shoulder, and I'm not going to be able to pull or live without pain anymore. And I just don't want that. So yeah, well, Hunter also like, yeah, told me pretty well that this is not going to be the future. So that's, I think it's hard because it's also, especially if you earn money with pole dancing, what I mostly do at the moment, you always have to, you feel like you have to learn new stuff, post it, do new things, like stay on top of your game. And I think to find the right balance between healthy and caring for your body, caring for yourself, and still have fun with pole it's not easy. But I think she has to like really decide what she wants to be able to do at some point. We have to think about longevity so much more because pole is so young and many people do it just like for 3 years. What is 3 years? You know, in comparison to a sport that's seen for a dozen of years. Mm-hmm. It's not the same.
It's definitely difficult.
It is fun. But like I think to work with actual professional and get a training plan and like a fixed training, like these exercises to really be like fixed in your plan is helping to get a routine. And as soon as you're in there and you actually feel that your body feels better and that you don't have any pain anymore, it's worth it. And then you're like, it's good food. Like, you know, as soon as you're in it and you feel better, it's way easier to stay on track than when you first start.
Yeah. Sometimes you think that like the chocolate cake's going to make you feel good, then you eat it and you feel terrible. So you have like a really nice nutritious meal and you're like, yeah, it's boring, but then it actually makes you feel amazing. So like training, good metaphor. I do like cake metaphors. I seem to always come back to the cake metaphor.
Yeah, people can relate to cake.
People love cake. Yeah. Anyway, the next question I wanted to ask you was from Derek Hamilton and also from the Off the Pole group. And he asked, do you have any particular rules when it comes to assessing whether you're approaching like the line overtraining or something? So is it time to back down for a while or is it just a case of suck it and see depending on how you feel that day? So I guess the question in summary would be, how do you know when you're overtraining versus whether you just need to get down and actually get on with it and train? Because pain is part of pole training, but like the right pain, like skin pain or, you know, muscles can be sore, but we don't want to hit the point where we're causing injuries and pulling things out of place. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I also feel it kind of emotionally. I think I'm an emotional person. Because
really? I've seen how you are with food, so...
No, it's also when I train and I get like really in a bad mood, or I repeat something over and over and I feel that I get like kind of like moody. I don't know. I think it's the way also my body tells me to like calm down, girl. So that's something when I train something for like too much in a repetition and I feel not as hyped as in the beginning or like happy. It sounds weird, but that's really an indicator for me to be like, put it to the side, maybe do it next time again. And also like in general, like with recovery, I also like, mood like in daily time. So if I'm like, I feel like that I'm moody out of no reason, I know like, oof, maybe my body needs some time off. And also to get to feel your body, to know when is the time where I just feel like, it's a little bit lazy, I feel cold. Or is it really your body telling you like, take a break? And I think that's something that's really hard for us, is to actually take a break, to rest and not doing anything, or like just take time for ourselves to like do something, read a book, or just don't move, or like gently moving. But our brain is always telling us to do more and more and more and more. So the more you get to know yourself, the easier it is to find that balance. But it is kind of hard. But you have to just sometimes take a break.
Yeah, I think like I say, you seem like you're quite in tune with your body. Like you know what food works for you, and you know when to maybe take a break. It's a lot of it. Kind of you're talking about it being emotional, but I think there's a big brain body connection that sometimes people, if they ignore one or the other, that's when you start going into trouble. Like, it's not, because it's a physical exercise doesn't mean that it's not massively connected to how you're feeling mentally. And if you're feeling a bit depressed, or you're not sleeping properly, or, you know, things are getting you agitated, that is all signs of overtraining. And people, I think, just wait for the signs of, am I in pain? Am I, you know, feeling weak? They just look for the physical signs. So I think it's really important to look at the, like, emotional side of it as well.
I actually was like, I think it was like 214. I actually was overtrained. I saw a specialist, and because I was always getting weaker, I didn't have any energy, I couldn't do anything. I was really in a bad mood all the time, and it was really bad. And I saw him, and he made like a stress test with me, and like with just questions: when did you laugh the last time, or when was the last time you felt really happy? And when I like filled it out, I was like, wow, I'm a really sad person. So no, and then he was like, and he also, I did like a there's, I don't know how it's tested in English, spirometry, like when you're on the treadmill or like driving with the bicycle, and you have this breathing mask, and they like measure your oxygen, and yeah, so I did that. He was like looking at me, he's like this is, I was so stressed out, and my body was just screaming for a break. So I had to really. And if you're at that point where you're really overtrained, it's so hard to get back. Like, you have to really take a break. And that's why I'm like, learn to listen more, because I don't want to take a break of that much time anymore.
No, because you're a very active person. So it's like, you don't want it to be all or nothing. You want it to be like at a consistent, good level that's going to keep you happy, rather than just like, 100%, or, you know, having to take 2 weeks off. So definitely. Yeah. Awesome. And what I wanted to finish with, last question, was if you do you have any go-to off the pole exercises? I know you recently did a really good one for the mobility blog that we did on my website, but is there any, that was the 90-90 hip one, but do you have any others that you're like, I have to do this or my body falls apart? Yeah,
I do lots of the rotator exercises, like the stretches and the strengthenings, especially because I did have problems with my shoulder 1.5 years ago, so that I'm really sensitive to that one. I really love that, and the forearm strengthening, you know, with the rotating, because I have baby hands, and it's really true. My hands are tiny, and it's really, for me, important to strengthen my forearms. Otherwise, it's so hard for me to grab the pole and be really strong in it. So that's a really good exercise I do as well to get strong.
Nice.
With my baby.
With my baby hands. Well, I have big hands and big forearms, so I got it. The swan. Yeah. I mean, I do like to strengthen my forearms though, because it's helped massively. If you have strong forearms, you have strong grip, and that helps you do stuff on the pole. So I would agree with these also. Nice. Well, I'll try and get links to those as well put down underneath. But where can people find you if they want to be following Jazzy around the world? Where can they find you? I'm going to link to your social media and stuff, but like, are you touring? Are you traveling? Are you doing workshops around the globe? Are there a website they can go to?
Yeah, I think I'm just going where people want me to. So, but if you want to see where I'm for workshops or for privates, just look on my Instagram or my Facebook side, because I'm always posting like the regular schedule. I'm mostly around Europe in spring. I'm also going to be a Pole Theatre UK amateur for judging, so I'm also for workshops there. And I'm actually going to be quite a lot in the UK in the next half a year. So,
yay!
Yeah.
We'll get the Jazzy fix, and I'll make sure I'll always have snacks. just to throw snacks at you when you're feeling angry.
It's like, just be sure. No.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see more of you.
And I'm actually pretty happy to like teach more and spread my passion for healthy training and pole dancing and exotic pole, and it's just so much fun to connect.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure that I link all of the social media places that people can find you on the transcript on the blog, which you can find on the Off the Pole website.
Did you hear that?
What's that?
I lost you for a second. That's why.
I was just chit-chatting about all your social media and stuff, which is glorious, by the way. There's never enough Jazzy on the internet.
Coming from you, girl.
Stop it. Flattery will get you everywhere. Well, thank you for coming on and answering my questions. I'd love to have you back on again. I know this is quite targeted, but I wanted to talk specifically about your recent posts and stuff, which was super helpful, and I'm sure loads of people related to that as well. So thank you very much for sharing your knowledge bombs.
Thank you so much.
Speak to you soon, Jazzy. Love you, bye.
Bye.
So how did you find that? Short and sweet, but really informative. I love that girl. Hope it's given you something to think about, and if you're enjoying the podcast, remember to subscribe via iTunes or drop me a message and just let me know what you think. My next guest is Daniel Rosen, discussing how not to be a Susan, so you won't want to miss that. Again, make sure you check out the blog transcript at offthepole.co.uk, where I have all the links of things that she's spoken about too.